plumberparts.co.uk. Honest reviews and advice. Hold tight and welcome to today's plumberparts.co.uk video. We are in England, not Scotland, even though it's easy to make that mistake with weather like what we've got today. We've had 30 mil of rain overnight. That's millilitres for you people who don't work in Imperial, which made me think that we need to do a video on how to fix compression fittings. Now, as you know, we've done a video a long time ago about how compression fittings work. That's great, but what about if they leak? So we're going to have a look very quickly if you've got a weeping compression fitting, how you can fix them and what you can do to solve the problem. So let's go, and I'm going to get soaked whilst doing this. Hold tight. So then, as we all know, compression fittings work in a really simple way. If you want to know how, go to our video. It's a very brief description. We've got an olive, a tapered insert here, and a nut with a taper on the inside. When they tighten up, those two tapers work on that olive and compress it onto the pipe to create a watertight seal. So, what do we do if this is leaking? First things first, if you think that you've got a leaking compression fitting, like that, the first thing I'd try and do is see if you can actually nip it up a little bit. Get yourself a pair of grips to grip the inside part here, the actual main body of the fitting, and then use a pair of adjustables to tighten them up. Let's go. When you're using grips, always grip in the opposite direction as to where you're tightening up. So this would be wrong. To tighten this fitting up, it's the wrong way round, okay, the grips are. So you want the grips to be this way round like so, okay? Then you can get your adjustable on the fitting like that and tighten it up. Give it an extra nip. Often that will stop a leak on a compression fitting. Sometimes though it doesn't. After you've done that, get yourself some tissue, wipe it down, fill the system up or whatever you're working on with water again and test for leaks. If you still find that it's leaking, there's about 3 or 4 other things we can do to perhaps stop this fitting from leaking altogether. So the next thing we can do is actually strip the fitting down, and you will see then that you've got a nut with your bitten on olive, okay? If you don't want to change the fitting, and if you can't change the olive, you can't get a hacksaw in there or something like that, there's a couple of things you can do that might seal it if you don't want to change this olive, okay? The first thing I would do is use some jointing compound. This is pretty old jointing compound, but it's going to do for demonstration purposes today. So get yourself some lovely jointing compound. All this is linseed oil and chalk, a lot of the time, I think it is anyway. And you get your compound and you splodge it onto your fitting, and then using your fingers or whatever. So you get it on there nicely like that, and then push your fitting back together again and tighten it up as you would normally. If you haven't got any jointing compound, you can also use ptfe tape. Right, so we've got our olive here, and remember this is just like one of those resorts. If you can't actually change the olive or change the fitting, you can use a little bit of ptfe tape. Now, ptfe tape is pretty cool stuff. There's a knack to using it. Try and have your tape coming out at this angle like this. Lay it across the olive with your thumb. Just wrap it round front and back of the olive, just like so. Make sure when you're putting the ptfe on the olive that the ptfe winds in the direction that the nut goes up. If it goes the other way, sometimes you'll find that the ptfe will splurge out all over the place and you won't be able to seal the leak. There we go. So now you've got a nicely covered up olive there. Push the fitting back together and then tighten up. I have never, in all my years of doing plumbing, had one of these leak after doing ptfe round the olive, okay? I've never had it. So what if you've done the ptfe or you've tried the jointing compound and it's still leaking? You're probably going to have to change the fitting, but sometimes you can just change the olive. So let's have a look at how you actually change the olive. So if you've tried all those other methods and it's still leaking, you're probably going to have to take this olive off and perhaps put a new olive on or change the fitting altogether. Now, the way to get an olive off, if you don't have an olive splitter, you might as well just have one of these and a very steady hand, because you do not want to score the pipe. Now the good thing is you can get a junior hacksaw like this, cut diagonally like this across the olive, but before you actually cut fully through the olive, you can get a nice little thin slotted screwdriver, put the screwdriver in and just twist it, and you'll find that the olive will pop off and be easily removed from the pipe. So, get our hacksaw blade directly across the olive and just gently saw. Try as best you can not to score the pipe. Now you should be able to pop your screwdriver in here Give it a little twist, just like that. You see it? That's just broken there. And then remove the olive. There we go. Now, looking at the condition of the pipe, it's not too bad. At this point you can have problems that may mean that you're going to have to take the pipe off. If there is a slight ripple in the pipe because the olive has been so tightened up, it's going to be very, very difficult to reseal that bit of pipe. This piece here looks okay, so we're going to give it a quick clean, pop a new olive on and then retighten the fitting up and see how it goes. So pop our new olive on, just like so, put the fitting back together and redo it up. Sometimes you'll be able to slacken off the fitting and just grab a pair of grips, pop that round the olive and just wangle it off. But then sometimes you can have to resort to this method to get the olive off if you want to try and just pop a new olive on. Every plumber out there has a different way of trying to seal a compression fitting, and I've just given you 3 or 4 different ways of doing that today. If you think we've missed anything out or you think we could do anything better, just give us a shout. As ever, give us love on Facebook, Twitter and subscribe to us on YouTube. Remember, I've said there's loads of different ways you can do this, okay? So test it out, give it a go, and you never know, you might succeed. I hope you enjoyed this video as much as I have had making it. The weather here is absolutely beautiful, as you can see. See you guys next week. I hope you keep it real. And remember, between you and me only, yeah? Hold tight throughout the night. Plumberparts.co.uk. Honest reviews and advice.